Good day. Welcome to another episode of Throwing It Back with Sean Farrell. I am Sean Farrell. God is great all the time. All the time, God is great. Jesus Christ is Lord. Let's not waste no more time. Let's get right to it. So I mentioned a few weeks back how the Celtics got screwed over in the 1990 NBA playoffs by several bad calls against the Knicks. And in Game 3 of the 1990 NBA playoffs in the first round, they got screwed out of a sweep of the Knicks because of several bad calls. And they ended up losing the series 3-2, which got Jimmy Rogers fired, which got Celtics coach Jimmy Rogers fired. Okay. So fast forward to 1991. Okay. Celtics eliminate the Pacers 3-2 in the first round. Celtics versus Pistons in the second round. And series began in Boston. Detroit took the first game. Boston came back and won the second game. And Boston came back and took the third game. 115-83, which was one of the worst defeats in the history of the Pistons. Okay. So they win 115-83. They lead the series 2-1. But fortunes began to decline starting in Game 4. When Robert Parrish, who was having some issues with his ankle in Game 3, Robert Parrish got injured in Game 4. Okay. So Robert Parrish got injured in Game 4. Pistons come back, tie the series at 2. They go back to Boston and Detroit wins in Boston. Now they come back to the Palace for Game 6. Okay. So Kevin McHale was pretty good throughout the whole series, okay? And Kevin McHale had 34 points in Game 6. Reggie Lewis had 23 that game. And Joe Dumars had a pretty good game with 32 points in Game 6, okay? Boston trailed Detroit by as much as 17 points in that game. But Boston scratched and clawed their way back, okay? And it was a classic Celtics comeback. And the Celtics had the game won, okay? The Celtics had the game won, okay? And so they were still in the midst of the comeback when Reggie Lewis came down court and he missed a shot. Reggie Lewis missed a shot and Kevin McHale tipped it in. They gave the Boston Celtics the lead. Okay. But the Detroit bench, the Detroit crowd, lead referee Jack Madden, who was the lead official, Jack Madden, they somehow convinced Jack Madden to wave McHale's hip off. To wave off Kevin McHale's hip off. Okay. Now, just think about the ramifications of that, okay? McHale's tip in counts. Boston wins, ties the series at 3. They go back to Boston Garden for a Game 7 with a healthy Robert Parrish. And they would potentially close out the series in Boston Garden. Okay? Now, it would have been a disappointment for the Pistons to lose. And I know it was disappointing for the Celtics not to have that tip in count, because the tipping was clearly good. The tipping was clearly good, but yet they ruled offensive interference. Kevin McHale obviously didn't agree. Chris Ford didn't agree. Even Hubie Brown and Pete Van Wieren, who were calling the game on TNT, they disagreed with the call, and they were right there. Hubie Brown didn't agree with the call. Pete Van Wieren didn't agree with the call. So the Celtics didn't agree with the call. The broadcasters didn't agree with the call. Okay. And I know they had multiple angles of replay, but the tip-in should have counted, and the Celtics should have won that game, and they should have tied a series at 3. And if the series was tied at 3, it would have been Chicago and Boston in the 1991 Eastern Conference Finals. Okay. Potentially, I say. Potentially, it could have been Chicago and Boston in the 1993 Eastern Conference Finals, because Isaiah Thomas, he injured his ankle in Game 1. Didn't play in Game 2. Played poorly in Game 3. Didn't play in Game 4, I believe. Played sparingly in Game 5. Came back with some heroics in Game 6. So, a subpar Isaiah Thomas, the whole series for the Pistons. But the short-term ramifications as opposed to the long-term ramifications. Okay? So, if that tipping counted and the Celtics win the series in Game 7, and it's Boston and Chicago in the 1991 Eastern Conference Finals, okay? Because there was a narrative that's what the NBA on NBC wanted to see, okay? There's a narrative that's what the NBA on NBC wanted. The dream matchup, Bird versus Jordan in the 91 Eastern Conference Finals. You know what I'm saying? Those were the short-term ramifications, okay? Now, the long-term ramifications of that, okay? If the Celtics went on to win that series in 7 and Detroit lost the series in 7, what do you think that he would be saying about Bulls versus Pistons to today? If the Pistons lost that series, it would have been a disappointment. But years down the road, you know the Pistons would have been saying, yeah, Jordan won 6 titles, but he never could beat us. He never did beat us. And you know that's what the head would be he's saying. Hey, yeah, you know that's what the head would be he's saying. If the Celtics came out on top, you know the Pistons would say years later down on the road, yeah, Michael should go, but he never did beat us. So, hey, yeah. So that's what he would be he's saying if the Celtics won that series. If McHale's tip-in had counted, okay? And they went back to Boston Garden, the Celtics win Game 7. So there were the short-term ramifications, and then there were the potential long-term ramifications, okay? And so that would have been real interesting, though, to see a Boston-Chicago Eastern Conference Finals in 1991. The new guard, the Bulls, versus the old guard, the Celtics. That would have been an interesting Eastern Conference Finals matchup. But Detroit really wasn't healthy the whole year, even in the playoffs, and ended up getting swept by Chicago. So, yeah, so if McHale's tip-in had counted, the short-term ramifications, the long-term ramifications. So, yeah. All right. That's it. And that's all. For Throwing It Back with Sean Farrell. I am Sean Farrell. God bless you all. I'm out of here. See y'all in the next one. Peace.